I really don't think it's accurate to say that members of the Democratic Party's leadership are part of the resistance, because at this point it's safe to say that they've become the assistants. They are now enabling Donald Trump, and they've gotten so bad that they are chastising members of the party that dare to speak out against Trump in certain ways. So as you all know, there's been a lot of officials within Trump's administration that have been publicly shamed for the White House's disgustingly cruel immigration policies. Now, this is what Maxine Waters had to say about that situation.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Really, the main point here about what she was trying to do is she was trying to affirm these forms of protest as legitimate and necessary forms of protest. So if folks want to protest Trump's administration by calling Stephen Miller a fascist in public or yelling shame at Kirstjen Nielsen, Maxine Waters is basically saying this is one of many ways people can speak truth to power. But with that being said, put that aside for a moment, because this video isn't actually about Maxine Waters. Instead, it's about the Democratic Party's leadership and their response to what she said about citizens protesting members of Donald Trump's administration. Here's what Nancy Pelosi said about Maxine's comments. In the crucial months ahead, we must strive to make America beautiful again. I don't know what that even means. Trump's daily lack of civility has provoked responses that are predictable but unacceptable. As we go forward, we must conduct elections in a way that achieves unity from sea to shining sea. Nancy, I don't know what to say about that. We must strive to make America beautiful again. That means nothing. That is an empty statement. It's completely meaningless. As we go forward, we must conduct elections in a way that achieves unity from sea to shining sea. She's not saying anything meaningful or substantive, but by and large, her goal here was to condemn Maxine Waters. But it wasn't just Nancy Pelosi. Chuck Schumer, who isn't even in the House, he's the leader of Senate Democrats, also took the time to condemn Maxine Waters on the Senate floor.
Many of us disagree with the policies of the current administration. In a country as large and diverse as ours, politics has always been a noisy, raucous affair, probably even more so today. And that's okay. But we all have to remember to treat our fellow Americans, all of our fellow Americans, with the kind of civility and respect we expect will be afforded to us. I strongly disagree with those who advocate harassing folks if they don't agree with you. If you disagree with someone or something, stand up. Make your voice heard. Explain why you think they're wrong and why you're right. Make the argument. Protest peacefully. If you disagree with a politician, organize your fellow citizens to action and vote them out of office. But no one should call for the harassment of political opponents. That's not right. That's not American.
So apparently, the Democratic Party's leaders haven't learned that platitudes and the politics of politeness will get them nowhere in the face of ruthless Republicans who are trying to crush them. Now, as they unequivocally condemn Maxine Waters and iterate that idiotic sentiment when they go low, we go high, which obviously hasn't worked for them thus far, but they're echoing that same sentiment from 2016 that ended up leading to them losing. But what's interesting to me is that Chuck Schumer recently suggested that he's been a more hands-off leader, and he lets members of the Democratic Party do as they please. And to demonstrate how this is the case, well, he recently talked with Chris Cuomo on CNN about how he's not going to reprimand Joe Manchin if Joe Manchin chooses to go full MAGA in 2020.
Joe Manchin is a guy who likes to talk to everybody and listen to them, and almost inevitably, he does what's right for West Virginia.
I might back Trump in 2020. Never heard a sitting Democrat or Republican say that about a president from the out party.
I have faith Joe Manchin will come to the right decision for West Virginia. He almost always has.
I have faith Joe Manchin will come to the right decision for West Virginia. That's Chuck Schumer's response when a member of his party goes rogue and starts batting for the other team. However, if a Democrat chooses to call out Donald Trump in a way that makes him feel uncomfortable, then it's unequivocal condemnation from Chuck Schumer. And they're lambasting Maxine Waters here, but it's curious because they haven't said anything about the Democrats that recently voted to deregulate Wall Street or expand Trump's power to unilaterally spy on American citizens without a warrant, or increase our already bloated military budget, or support PAYGO. In fact, Nancy Pelosi championed PAYGO. Credit to Jimmy Dore, who talks about this all the time. So if you're a Democrat in Congress and you do something that emboldens Donald Trump, then members of the Democratic Party leadership are going to leave you alone. However, if you do something that makes them feel uncomfortable, that might lead to this narrative that Democrats are uncivil, then they're going to come out and attack you for it. So the point here is that they chose to go out of their way to criticize her because she's daring to stand up to Donald Trump and resist him. Well, rather than criticizing Maxine Waters, maybe you should try to learn from her in this particular instance, Nancy and Chuck, because all this time you have shown to be spineless in the face of any criticism from Republicans whatsoever. I mean, they caved in 2.5 days during the last government shutdown? They said they would defend DACA. Chuck Schumer changed his Twitter profile pic to "I stand with dreamers," and what happens? They cave after 2 days, completely unilaterally disarm, allow dreamers to just get abandoned. You don't know how to fight. You are feckless leaders. You don't know how to stand up to Donald Trump. Now, since you're spineless and you refuse to step aside and let someone who's a real leader take your place, at least be quiet when someone in your own party chooses to stand up to Donald Trump in a way that's meaningful and effective.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.